Hello and welcome back to another episode of Kundalini Awakenings, Life Force Management here on my channel. This is StasiaBliss, and it is currently Wednesday on the day I'm recording this. That means whenever you're watching it, that mercurial energy is touching your life today. So remember, these videos are timeless. They are here whenever you find them at the perfect exact time for you to, give some piece of information. Something's here for you. You were drawn to this video for some reason. And again, take what resonates. Not everything in this video will necessarily be for you. So with that, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like if you like this video, and let's get into it. Today I want to talk about Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga as a preparatory and supportive practice for Kundalini. So if you aren't familiar with what Hatha Yoga is, Hatha comes from the words Ha and Ta. Ha meaning sun in Sanskrit, and Ta meaning moon. So this is a balancing of the solar and lunar forces, which if you've been on other ones of my videos or you've studied spiritual mechanics of the body, then you're aware that there is on the left side the Ida lunar channel, and on the right side the Pingala, the solar channel in the body. And the goal of yoga and how Kundalini even is able to move in the spine is through the conjoining of these two forces, through the balancing of the sun and the moon in the body. And that's why also eclipses are so powerful. We had an eclipse recently to this video's recording on April 8th. We had an Aries solar eclipse, and interestingly that was a very Pingala, very solar, but it was eclipsed by the moon, the lunar, so there was a Kundalini activation during that time. So we are definitely working in the aftermath of that. So there is a textbook in India called Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Pradipika is referring to, like, you could translate it as self-illuminating or to shine the light on. So it's like a text all about shining the light on or illuminating oneself to this idea of what Hatha Yoga is. And it was formulated by some sages, some yogis in India, actually some Nat yogis, and Swat Marma is the one who put the book together, the one that you can purchase. It's more recent, great compilation of verses. But basically they were looking at the traditions of yoga and tantra and Buddhism over time and noticing different schools of thought popping up to teach people these ways. And they noticed that a lot of this, especially after the Buddhist teachings, had to do with self-conduct, the yamas and the niyamas. And the problem with that is it was kind of like a religious aspect where, the sages agreed that yoga is not really a religion. It's about aligning the body with the celestial forces so that you can access your highest potential of being. And that can be done by anybody, no matter what you're believing. And also the mind is a tricky thing to discipline. So the yamas and niyamas are all about self-control and self-discipline, but they are very mental, as far as how to conduct oneself, not to steal or not to, it's kind of like a 10 commandment kind of a deal. And so the sages that put together Hatha Yoga Pradipika, they focused on what it actually was required in the body, and that it was actually an easier way to get to the mind to discipline the physical body first. So if you sit for 15 minutes in the same posture, that is a discipline that is going to ripple out to the mind, but it's easier for your mind to handle. You're like, well, I want to get up, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to sit here. Like, the physical act of discipline is a lot easier than a mental discipline of, I want to be good, but I don't want to be good. I want to be good, but I don't want to be good. And you're fighting yourself on those things. And actually that mental tug of war can create a rift in the mind. And this is where we can have problems like schizophrenia and stuff like that, is if you are too focused on disciplining the mind first, and this is actually what can happen. There can be, people that find out about this spiritual path and they want to get to it as fast as they can, and they really try to make themselves go down a mental disciplinary path first. Even meditation can be that way, because meditation is like you're trying to control the mind in a way, and if your body can't even be controlled, then the mind is a hard place to start. So Hatha Yoga Pradipika emphasizes the importance of, first of all, cleansing the body. That your body is full of all the junk from, what you used to believe. So if you want to have a new set of beliefs, or you want to allow this Kundalini in as gentle a way as possible, then first you got to clean out some space for it. We got some weed whacking going on, so he's cleaning out some space in his yard. But cleansing practices can be kind of like taking a weed whacker. I have some on my channel. If you go into the yoga meditation playlist, you can find Neti. So that's the nasal purification practice. Great practice. You can find Kapalbhati breathing, which is the breath of fire. Great cleansing practice. This is also called Shat Karmas. You're doing this bellows breath, and it actually clears the eyes, the forehead. They call it shining skull, is one of the translations. It opens the third eye, and it also moves the digestive tract. So if there's anything like parasites and things like that, that can be moved through the system. Also Tratak, which is candle gazing. I have a video on that as well. You can look that up. Candle gazing, a great way to purify the subtle nadis by using the eyes and the internal channels that are reflected within after you focus on a candle. So there's other Shat Karmas. Those are the easiest for everyday people to do. So those are the ones that I recommend you doing and starting with. And after you have a regular practice, and I wouldn't necessarily neti pot every day because that can be drying. I do use this Stasia Brahmi oil in a sesame oil that you put a couple drops in your neti pot with the salt. So you want to use not table salt. Really. We'll just let that go by. You want to use like a sea salt. Like a teaspoon, I didn't say tablespoon, teaspoon into warm water, warm to mildly hot. You want to get it body temperature, so you're making a nice saline. Sometimes you can pre-buy the saline, but I always like to use like a purified water and fresh sea salt into my neti pot, so it's warm to the touch, so it feels like the same as body temperature. You don't want to be like burning your nasal passage, and you also don't want to be like freezing it off either. So the neti pot, doing both sides like once a week or every couple of days. I mean, if you're really congested, then you might do it more, but boy, does this open the third eye, like really awesome. So watch that video if you aren't familiar how to do that. It's actually pretty easy. When I first did it, I had an infection in India up in my head, and I had a terrible headache. And of course, in India, when you're at the ashrams, they tell you everything is karma. And they're probably right. But I had this like mental infection, and I probably did because I was like a super bitch when I went there. And it really like ground me down. And anyway, I did a neti while I was there, and this humongous, excuse the definite, like the description, but this massive, like huge, like infection thing came out of my nose, and I was like immediately better. And I had like this really like heightened psychic vision, really like crazy what I was able to start seeing. I was starting to see with that, like what the mantras we were practicing was doing to the DNA. Really awesome. Amazing stuff, which I'm not going to go further into right now because it will make this video super long, but maybe I need to have like a once a week where I can just do longer story videos, because I've tried to keep these videos, daily videos, reasonably short, because I listen to a daily video here and there of other people's, and I kind of like it to be like 10-15 minutes. It's kind of good for my morning. And so that's kind of what I'm going for here, but sometimes it's nice to go a little bit deeper and a little bit longer. So let me know if you would like that in the comments below. But yeah, so cleansing practices. And of course, there are other cleansing practices that you can do. Those are some of the top Shat Karmas. Shat Karma means to purify the nadis. The nadis are the subtle currents So they're purification practices for the nadis, which is actually where your Kundalini runs through. So it has the main channel, but then it's running through like 72,000 nadis and beyond, right? Because there's subtler and subtler and subtler. There's like a fractal, it just keeps getting branched out. Like veins, right? Veins just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and nobody can really know how many veins there are. They just like go infinitely tinier, like those ones in your eyes, like you can't even see them. That's the currents of the nadis too. And if there's a block, like anything, stagnant energy, which always I translate back to the spiritual, which is a stuck belief or a trauma or just an unused pattern, something that we just maybe don't feel like we can go into that part of ourselves. These shat karmas help open the currents, right? Open the gates. And I also have my teacher Almin did the Irat Sattva yoga, which is the yoga of abundance. That's all about opening 144,000 nadis in the body. So if you want that one is like a $44, because you can buy it through online and just find the poses and then get the music and everything, but I put it all together, so it's just for a small fee. If you want that one, just email me and let me know you want the yoga of abundance. Also really cool is it works with acupoints, which I love. If you haven't been to the acupressure playlist, like millions of people love those. Those are awesome. I have loved acupressure for years, and acupressure, you know, is something you can self-apply, unlike acupuncture, which takes needles, and it is a great way to get at those nadis, the subtle nadis, or the meridians, as they say in Chinese medicine, to open up those channels. So sometimes when you have like a body ache or a pain, like a headache or a sore throat or a backache, like sometimes it's just alerting you, hey, your Kundalini is moving and it's stuck right here. So these acupoints are really helpful to move that energy. So the cleansing practices come first, and then asana, which is the yoga postures. Now, at the very minimum, I recommend doing sun salutations, and they're awesome. Like, you could just do sun salutations, which is also on my yoga and meditation playlist. You can see how to do those. Really simple practice, 12 poses, you know, it's basically 6 poses that repeat, and then you do each side. So you basically have a 24 pose practice that if you work with that, you're aligning all the chakras, you are making way for the Kundalini, you are like activating everything necessary, and you're building the physical body so it can actually hold this stuff. So that's where we get into some other issues, is if you're awakening the Kundalini with lots of meditation or lots of mental practices or lots of breath work, but you aren't doing the physical stuff, that the physical body could, you know, complain at you by giving you some problem, telling you this body is not equipped at this point. So then you have to do some more nourishing stuff, cleansing and nourishing practices. And that might include, of course, building the tissue, you know, also mineralizing, but also just being able to embody. You need to be able to stretch into this stuff and have some agility, even if you are like a little bit stiffer or you have some physical limitations, like really doing what you can to stretch beyond that and into that. And then pranayama is the third step of the Hatha Yoga 8-step path. And so the cleansing practices, asana, pranayama is breathing practices, because again, if you can do kumbhak, which is breath retention, and just a simple practice would be like inhale to 4, hold your breath to 4. Exhale to 4, hold your breath out to 4. Just make a square. It's just really super easy. And each one of those, that's a sort of breath control that is helping you gain mastery over what was an autonomic function that you can now bring under conscious control. And that mirrors having to do that to our mind. So now we got a leaf blower going on. So what do we need to blow away today? Mercury is an air element, right? So air element, really strong. Breathing. And I have lots of pranayama practices in the yoga meditation playlist: Viloma breathing, Bastrika pranayama, the Kapalbhati breathing, the cool breathing, lots of breathing practices. So even just pick one and work on that. Ujjayi is a great one to practice daily, just when you're out and about. And then from that, you naturally go into a withdrawal of the senses. You are naturally leading yourself toward meditation when you do these other things first. So if you're already experiencing Kundalini symptoms, I would still go back to the Shat karmas. I would still go back to cleansing practices to get your body more fluid and open. And if you've been doing a lot of cleansing, now you want to do some strengthening of your body. You want to use your body. You want to do some yoga. At the very least, sun salutations. Sun salutations, sun salutations. Like, I can't say it enough. Like, they are cream of the crop. And I'm not talking about go to a Vajrasana, or not Vajrasana, Vinyasa class. Those are nice also, but you can just at home do your sun salutations. If you want to add greater depth to that, let me know. And there's more layers you can add to that. There's chants you can add. There's longer chants. Of course, there's specific breathing practices that I think I do add in that video on my playlist. So check that out. Yeah, work with that today. This is a mental day, but what it really is it's wrapping your mind around the messages coming. So whatever message you receive today, the mercurial energy is blowing your way. That's something to take and run with, take and nurture and bring some life into, and that will nurture your own life force energy. Okay, thank you for joining me. I hope to see you again tomorrow on Jupiter's Day, and we have some really great astrology this week, you guys. So if you're getting visions of your future, I'm not surprised. The biggest thing, and according to Leo King too, is just to act on those, like put a step forward toward those big visions that you're getting. And it's easier to be clear when you have a clear vessel. All right, until next time, namaste, and I love you.